Hey there, Larry Stein, Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service with you again today. And wow, it's February, guys. We've turned the page. The groundhog, he didn't see a shadow down here, but we're still hoping for 6 more weeks of winter because we still need some cold weather. We need some more chill. So anyway, we got more on the way. So it is February. It's still supposed to be cold. We get anxious in February. We want to start doing things, but we really need to be patient. You remember last year what happened in the middle of February? And so we don't want to jump the gun to start trimming stuff back. You know, last year we told you you got to learn to like ugly. So that's what we want you to do. You know, don't be in a big hurry to take these shrubs down. So anyway, wanted to point that out. Also wanted to invite you to join us each Wednesday and Friday this coming month. We have a lot of good activities coming up this month. Dr. Masabny is going to talk about his backyard garden, and so that's always an interesting watch. We're also going to have a lot of classes on landscape design. Landscape design for small gardens, small backyards, big yards, so you'll be sure to tune in for that. Also, designing an earth-kind destination garden, so that will be very interesting as well. We're also going to talk about pruning fruit trees, talk about pruning rose bushes, so we hope you'll join us for a full month of activities in February. Want to point out a few things that you can be doing now. Told you to wait on pruning your shrubs. It's really too early. Pruning back your perennials, you know, go ahead and learn to like ugly a little bit longer. Even though we got green coming down below, we got a hard freeze coming, and so that those material above that green stuff will add some protection. And so that's what we want to be doing. Leaving that, let's get by the super cold weather, and then we can talk about what we need to do later on. Still prime time to plant trees, guys. Plant trees, shrubs, whatever. Get them in the ground. Best thing you can do, bare root plants, whatever. It's best to have this root system below ground in this upcoming freeze. Some people are supposed to drop into the teens, and if you have a container plant in a container, you have a plant in a container, and the root system is exposed to that kind of cold, realize that the entire container can freeze. And so the best place for this tree is to be in the ground. And so if you're planting trees, get them in. If not, a little bit of freeze so that your root system is protected. Still prime time to plant cool season crops in your garden. Lettuce, kale, spinach, make succession plantings. Don't plant it all at once so it doesn't come off all at the same time. So we can still be doing that. Those of you that got carrots, whatever, you can be harvesting those, obviously. The broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower really took a hard lick on the first freeze that we had when we went from 90 degrees down to 25 degrees, and so that was a problem. A lot of people are starting their warm season crops, tomatoes, peppers, maybe some flowers, and you can step these up into larger containers. Once they get to this size, you'll see that the roots are starting to come out the side of the pot, and so you can go ahead and step these up into larger containers so that they can continue to grow. And then when the danger of frost is past, you can come in and set these out. And so there's a lot of people that buy small transplants at this time of the year, step them up into larger containers, move them along, and then they'll be ready to go when spring comes. It's getting time to be thinking about fertilizing, our shrubs, other trees and plants. We like to use what we call a 3-1-2 ratio fertilizer, 1959. And so that does a good job, and so you can be thinking about this. This is also a slow release. This is Osmocote or a NutriCoat, one of those. And this is a really good fertilizer to use in containers and things like that because you can't overdo it. And so remember the 3-1-2 ratio. If it's not slow release, you want to be careful and not put too much on at one time. We have all these leaves, the warm season trees. These are pecan leaves. They dropped, obviously. We're fixing to have oak leaves drop.
I really like oak leaves as a mulch, so don't be throwing those leaves away, guys. Use them in your garden, incorporate them into your garden, and you'll be amazed at the way they increase the tilt of your soil. And so don't be throwing these leaves away. Use them. They will be of great benefit. I always hear people say, well, pecans have a toxin in their leaves, but they don't. They're high in tannin. A lot of people also think they're acidic, but realize the only way that you can get acidic compost is from the leaves coming from an acidic source. These trees were growing in a pH of 8.2, so it's impossible for them to break down to an acidic environment. So anyway, it's okay to use these. I would encourage you to incorporate them, get them incorporated now. If you have elbaum rye in your garden, you need to be cutting that off, incorporating it, because it has to break down before spring. Now is also prime time to think about ball moss. I always get amused at people talking about ball moss. A lot of people think ball moss kills your trees, but realize you can find this ball moss growing on power lines and on posts, fence posts. So you can talk to people all day long, but a lot of times you can't change their mind. But realize ball moss doesn't hurt anything. But if you don't like it in your trees, whatever, you can either prune it out, take it out right now, or you can actually spray a copper spray. Coside, copper hydroxide, you spray it now. It takes us a long time to kill it, but it will eventually kill it. A lot of other people get worried about these things right here. And all these are lichens. And again, they're just on the wood. They hurt absolutely nothing. And so even though you see that, nothing to worry about, they're just lichens, and so not a problem at all. Now, one of the things that can be a problem is mistletoe. Now, mistletoe is parasitic. It is growing on the plant. It is growing on the plant. And realize there's no control. No control. And so what you have to do is you have to come down a foot, 18 inches below it to take it out, prune it out. And so certain trees, like this is mesquite, they're very susceptible to it. You can see entire trees covered with it. And so this can be a problem on certain trees, but usually our desirable trees, not a problem. So this can be a problem, but this, ball moss, and this, nothing to worry about. We also think about February as being rose pruning month. We talk about Valentine's, February 14th. To not only prune your roses, but also plant your potatoes. So that's coming up fairly quickly. And then again, don't forget your fruit trees. If you just have one or two, continue to wait. But if you have a lot of trees, what we want them to do is we want you to get them pruned right before bud break or right when you see flowers. Now, if you look really closely on this particular tree, you see this kind of white scaly appearance. And so what you're looking at there is San Jose scale. And so now is prime time also to be treating your fruit trees with dormant oil spray. You got to use dormant oil. You want to use it before bud break. You want to do a complete application. You have to apply this product though when it's not going to freeze. So obviously today it's not going to be a good choice. You want to continue to wait. The longer you wait to apply dormant oil, the more active the insects get right before bud break, and then you can apply it. Remember, this is a petroleum-based product. You mix it with water. You have to have good agitation to keep it mixed up so that when you spray your tree, you don't get solid oil on the tree. So those are a few of the tidbits, checklist things that you can be thinking about in February. There's other things to come, but hopefully you're all settled in for the cold spell coming up. Like I said, we still need some cold weather, and so that's good. We're glad to have the cold. We need a little bit of rain, but at least we're getting ready to turn the page again. I hope you'll join us all of February for all of our detailed programs. And until next time, I don't think there's any questions today. Until next time, we'll see you later on in February, talk about roses. Until next time, this has been Larry Stein, Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. Happy gardening.